up Columbus? How you guys all doing?
How's it going, everybody? This is my first time ever standing on an Arnold stage, and I'm kind of glad right now I'm fully clothed because I'm not really ready to pose down. But hopefully we're going to have a good chat with you guys. Any questions you guys have, Hany's going to run through his own personal questions because I know he's so curious about my personal life, and we're going to get into it.
Hey guys, this is a great opportunity because even though I've been in this industry for 25 years, I never get a chance to actually relax and be able to do some of the fun things that I'm doing right now. And with Chris being able to be such a great representative of the sport, he's been so kind and just giving to not only the fans but the whole industry. For him to be able to sit here in Columbus, I feel like it's a resurgence for everybody I'm seeing out here. I want to say thank you guys for coming out today because I know how hard it's been with the pandemic and everything that's going on, but I just want to say thank you. And thank you too, Chris, for taking the time to sit down with everybody here and doing a little bit of a Q&A.
Of course, yeah, no, I'm excited, and I love seeing a crowd. It's been way too long since we've had crowds of people gathered together for some exciting stuff, so thank you guys, everyone, for coming out. We're going to get into this and have some fun. Can you hear me now?
All right, there you go, guys. So first of all, I want to basically start off with a little bit of the background with you. Chris, you are originally from Canada. Can you talk a little bit about what city and kind of where, a lot of people don't know that you actually turned pro in bodybuilding, and you know there was no classic physique. So can you tell me what year that was and a little bit about the history of you competing?
Yeah, so I grew up in a city called Ottawa in Ontario. It's a pretty big city, but most people in America don't know much about Canada because you guys like learning about your own geography. But bodybuilding wasn't really big in my city. When my brother-in-law turned pro, and then my sister turned pro, and I turned pro, we were the only 3 IFBB pros in the city, and we all lived in the same house. So it was super cool that it wasn't like a huge community, but we built our little family. And now with the growth of fitness and with classic physique and housing have been growing, there's a lot more of it in my city, which is exciting. But I started competing in 2019, and I started as a bodybuilder 2014, not 2019. 2014, because there was no classic physique back then, I was in bodybuilding. So I climbed the ranks as an open bodybuilder, and I started as a junior, and then when I made it to nationals, I switched into competing against the open, against the big boys. And it was North Americans in 2016, I believe, where I got my pro card in heavyweight bodybuilding. And that was the same year Classic Physique actually came out. And at that point, I figured I either have to get up to 300 pounds because I'm 6'1", and these guys in the open are huge, and that wasn't really the look I wanted to attain. I wanted to keep my kind of aesthetic look, and so it was either I retire or I switch over to Classic, and it was an easy choice. I knew even before I turned pro, I wanted to get into the Classic division.
So what did you weigh when you turned pro?
So I was a pretty small open bodybuilder, but my physique got me like to where I was, but I weighed 217 pounds when I turned pro.
And right now, at this year's Mr. Olympia, what did you weigh in at?
I weighed in, my lowest weight was 236 pounds.
Okay, so you basically put on about 20 pounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so going through that whole mindset of trying to be able to go from an open bodybuilder that you were going in, did you ever compete as an open bodybuilder, or was it something that you decided to just get your pro card and then you made the switch?
I switched right to Classic. And there's a lot of jokes now of people saying like, oh, is Chris ever going to do open? And we kind of hint at it. And I don't know, maybe one time before I retire. I won't prep for it.
Oh,
I might get
do you hear that right now, guys?
It might happen.
Do you think Chris should eventually compete as an open bodybuilder? I actually think you would do I think you would actually do really well at open bodybuilder. I know a thing or two about.
I've been debating when I'm like 5 weeks out, I'm about 15 pounds heavier, but still in decent shape. So I've been debating just hopping in a show at that look, and then cutting down the extra 20 pounds or whatever to make it in the Classic. Do that 1 year and just see how it goes.
So how many pounds exactly do you lose the last 2 weeks?
It all varies, but this year was about 15.
15?
Yeah.
15 pounds. So that would put you around 250?
Yeah.
250, 252. And I've seen your pictures a couple weeks out, and the conditioning is very, very close. And I would definitely, when was the last time you seriously considered actually competing? Was doing that show after the Olympia, any of those shows after the Olympia and Open ever a consideration? Was it something you might have been serious about?
It's never been that seriously thought about. My focus is so dead set on winning Olympias that I almost don't even see far outside that. But now that I've been here for a few years, I've entertained the idea, but it's still up in the air.
But you do think you want to do it at least once?
Yeah, I know you're pulling this out of me, but it's still a maybe.
I know.
I don't know.
No, you
I'm
know
not
what? He
committing
doesn't
to
say
anything.
things like this unless he's actually considered it. He's very conservative with what Chris says. I've studied you.
Gotta watch what comes out of my mouth.
Well, that being said, the other thing that is really very interesting is that now with Classic, I see that, you know, you have a very classic look. Like, meaning that the mustache, you know, would we consider that a mullet?
I mean, it's a mullet now. Yeah, I don't know what it was on the Olympia stage, but it's been growing out pretty nice lately.
Is that something you're doing because you feel like it kind of immerses you into the classic lifestyle?
I'm not gonna lie, at first, the mustache was the first thing, and I did it just to piss off my girlfriend. She was like, don't you dare wear a mustache out of the house. And I did, and I made a YouTube video and posted pictures, and people were like, it actually looks really cool, like classic, like the old school natty bodybuilders. So I was like, and it's actually kind of a decent story. So in 2018 was a year where I was kind of sick, and that's when I brought the mustache out for the first time. And my physique, because of the health problems I was having, wasn't at 100%. So I was lacking kind of confidence. I wasn't super confident to get on stage with a mustache because it was kind of a joke. So I shaved the mustache the night before the Olympia, competed, came second, and like wasn't my best performance. But the next year I was a lot more confident. My physique was in a much better place, and I was like, fuck it, you know what? I'm gonna wear the mustache, it's gonna look cool, I'm gonna own it, step on stage. And that was the first year I won the Olympia. And it was kind of like my good luck charm / like sign of like confidence, of like belief in myself and knowing that I got it. So now every year I rock the mustache.
So the mustache is definitely coming back this year.
It's here to stay, yeah.
Absolutely. So you guys like the mustache? So I was walking around the expo right before we got up backstage. I literally saw guys that had the same mustache as him. If you've got a mustache because Chris has got one, could you raise your hand? There you go, right there. He's got the hair, there you go. So I'm definitely seeing clones of you out there right now. So
it's pretty wild, yeah. Some of my friends tell me I should just do some, I mean, honestly, people tell me I should do some crazy shit and see who else will do it. And the mullet was one of those things. And I look around and I see a lot of guys with mustaches and mullets, so. But so am I, so I can't really laugh at anyone.
I don't think a mullet will look good on me, bro.
I don't know.
I can just let the back grow a little bit, maybe.
I don't think I want to see that.
No, I don't think so. My wife wouldn't want to see that either. So going back to the whole thing about classic physique, the interesting thing that I basically noticed is that you have classic goes back in ages. It's almost like fashion. You have classic of the 50s, you have classic of the 60s bodybuilders, and 70s, 80s. What do you personally feel was the one that you appreciate the most or you connect with the most? Which decade do you see, or which athletes in which decade do you feel the most connected to?
I would probably say somewhere around in the late 70s to 80s. I think it was 90s when people started to get big, but still it was like that crossbreed where like I loved the physiques, but they were. I don't think people realized how huge. I don't think people realized how huge the guys were in the 90s. There were some big boys, but back in the 80s, people like Leo Labrada, I was a huge fan of. Tom Platz, he was like probably the first bodybuilder that I actually really loved. The way he trains legs and how intense he was. I was a huge fan of his quads, so probably back then.
So basically, Lee Labrada, I mean, was there anybody before that? Was there somebody like during the 70s that you felt like was also that you try to emulate? Like, even when it comes to posing, is there somebody that you like to emulate? Because I know Lee Labrada is an amazing poser and he had great aesthetics, but was there anybody else on the posing side that you, when you do your routines, is there anything that you emulate?
I really like Barry DeMay for his physique, but routine posing wise, probably Bob Paris. I'm a huge fan.
Yeah, Bob Paris, if you guys haven't looked up Bob Paris, amazing physique, but he was really, really great at the presentation. So when he was breaking down his body in terms of his strengths and weaknesses, he would try to create so much fluidity. It was like an art form when you watched him pose. The amount of training now with classic physique, do you feel that there is a difference between how you would train now versus if you trained and if you were going to go open?
Training wise, no, not at all. I've trained my whole life with my brother-in-law, Ian Valliere, and he's literally 305 pounds right now. And while I'm not as strong as him, he's a beast. I can keep up with him in any workouts. We do the same plan, the same kind of stuff. It just comes down to the other things we're doing throughout the year. I take a lot of time off at some point, then I let my body kind of relax for a little bit, and then I kind of get back into it. But I make sure my variables change, or like food and such as that, and I keep my training intensity the same as I would in the open.
What about the food? Do you feel like you're under eating because of the class?
I'm not quite there. No, I was lucky. So my height is just about exactly 6'1", and I've always been 6'1" on the dot. So conservatively, I was coming in at 230 pounds and under. But finally, they were like, okay, well, like, you've been 6'1" for 3 years. Now you can like guarantee that the weight for that is 240 pounds. So because of that, I actually have some weight I can put on. So like I said, I competed at 236 pounds last year. I technically have 4 pounds I can still put on. I really take my time with it. Like after the Olympia this year, I took 3 months off training and I lost almost 30 pounds. And it was still moving and trying to do cardio and just focus on my health, give my body, my muscles, and everything a break. But my goal is to really last as long as possible in the sport, as healthy as possible. And I don't want my physique to like age, look old or tired. So I want to be fresh every year for the Olympia. And I'm just trying to take it all slow.
Well, you're only, what, 27?
27, yeah.
Yeah, so you're only 27 years old. How long do you feel like you're going to be able to kind of maintain this? Do you feel like that you're going to end up, do you have a number in your head? I know when I was training Phil Heath and we were getting ready for all the shows, he always said, I want to try to shoot for 10, right? That was the number that he was always trying to shoot for, was 10 Olympia titles. I know Ronnie Coleman was also the same way. Are you the same way? Do you have a number in your head that you're trying to kind of put up on the mantle, say, hey, this is how many wins I'm going to want by the time I walk away?
That's kind of the infamous question I've been getting, because I kind of joke about it. I'm like, the next guy who wins can come in when I retire, and the people are like, well, when is that going to be? When are you going to retire? And I honestly hate thinking that far ahead. I don't want to build any expectation, because God willing, anything can happen to anyone at any time. I just want to appreciate where I'm at right now and focus on the next one. So my best answer to how many titles do I want is, right now it's one more. After that it'll be one more, and then I'll just focus on the next one.
That's exactly a winner's mentality, and I think that the hardest thing is when we talk a little bit about, and we talk a little bit about backstage about winning is very, very difficult. You have a lot of legends who've never won, and they've had genetically they had such superiority, but it was the mind or something around their team, or they had something that was lacking that didn't get them over the hump to win. But with you, not only have you won, but you've won now 3 times. And what do you think that magic secret sauce, I'll just call it secret sauce, is when it comes to the mentality of not just winning, but being able to maintain that? Because as I know with working with my athletes and watching other athletes that are now considered legends in the sport, a lot of people just don't understand that you have to be in a different mindset. Can you talk a little bit about how you get yourself into that mindset? I mean, you touched on it during your victory speech at the Olympia this year, but I think if we can talk a little bit about that, because you have so many competitors here and there's always things to come up with. There's always excuses, and I feel like people don't understand that even the best in the world have self-doubt, but there's ways that they get around this that makes it the most interesting thing about how they can be able to hit those goals that they've created for themselves.
Yeah, I mean, that's something where I'm very blessed to have always had in my mind from the forefront. Is I've understood that anyone can get lucky, anyone can work hard for a little bit and get to the top and win, but staying up there is, like you said, that's the hard part. And that all comes down to your mind game. You know, we all have to train, we know how to eat, we know how to do everything, but when you're on the top, there's that different expectation and pressure where, like, you either win or you're nothing. It's like, if you're first or last, as Ricky Bobby said. So that mentality, like you said, it puts a lot of pressure, and there's a lot of people who, like, in the industry of other industries with crazy mindset that I've studied, like Tom Brady, Michael Jordan. They're very different, but they had similar effects. And something I personally love is like the old Stoic philosophy, and the basis of it is focusing on what's in your control and what's not in your control. So in the stuff that anything could happen, like health issues, pandemics, anything on the outside of the world, if you try and control that and put your stress on those things, you're going to be anxious. It's going to kind of get to you because you have no power over that. But if you know day to day the small things that you can accomplish, like today I just got to get my meals in, I got to train harder than I did yesterday, I got to push myself a little bit more, and you're accomplishing that every day, you're going to keep getting better every day, and those are the things that are in your control.
And if I had changed my friends to the people who jumped in and the people who just loved and appreciated me because of my titles and not who I was, then my head would probably be wrapped around my titles rather than who I am and my character. But I've been lucky enough to have an amazing family, an amazing girlfriend, sister, and brother-in-law, mom and dad who have been by my side. Some of my best friends backstage right now. Maddie's been with me since the beginning, and they kind of keep my head grounded in the right space. And it's really important to just be surrounded by good people who love and respect you for who you are and not what you've accomplished.
Have you ever had a point in your career where you had some negative energy, where you had to figure out how to basically pivot away from that?
Not like physical people in my life, but one of the hardest things I've had to battle is, like I mentioned, I had some health complications in 2018, and that, I mean, if you're a bodybuilder and you're not worried about your health, you should be, you know? But having my own serious health complications, that creates a lot of anxiety in me. And I get to points when I'm prepping and I'm like, is this worth it? Like, why the hell am I doing this to my body? I'm like, I'm going to hurt myself. I'm going to push myself further. And I do regular checkups to make sure I'm not. But the anxiety still builds in my head and it still gets me a lot. And it makes me want to just quit and stop sometimes. So those are the times when I said I got to focus on what I control, like do my health checks, making sure everything is going good, and just kind of battling it. And a huge ideology I adopted from a long time ago with having the champion mentality. And like I said in that speech after the Olympia, it doesn't matter. The champion mentality isn't about having trophies, medals around your neck. It's just about having no quit. It's about believing in yourself and never quitting up on your goals and putting in the work.
Did you use any specific techniques like meditation? Is it like lack of sleep that creates the anxiety? Using too much caffeine, or was it something that you kind of pinpoint that you're able to kind of take a step back and say, how do I reduce this anxiety? Because anxiety, the world is full of anxiety, and like especially right now. And right now, you also, when you have pressure, right now you have titles, and the pressure builds up. But what do you do? What do you do for that?
I mean, the huge thing is, like I said, I think a lot of people's anxiety is from putting expectations onto things out of their control, and that just blows your mind out because you're worried about something that you can do nothing about. So like I said, the philosophies I have in my mind, where I've studied Stoic philosophy and such, and I've done some meditation and breath work, and I honestly have a therapist who I see, and I see her a little bit throughout the year, but a lot more during prep because I started getting in my head a lot more, and she's more of, it's not like a traditional therapist, she's very spiritual. She's awesome. She teaches me more about different types of breath works and meditation that you can focus to kind of detach from stuff. And it's really important to know yourself. And she was someone who got to know me, and she's like, I'm a pretty introvert person. The fact I'm sitting on stage right now talking to many people, I'm already sweating right now, but I would have been real nervous 4 years ago because this isn't who I am at all. I like to go detach, but I know that about myself. So right now I live in a little city in Florida, and it's like a retirement city. And I go there with my girlfriend and my dog, and when I need to get away, I just see nobody, do nothing, and I have my time alone. And that's kind of like my reset energy that I need. And I just surround myself with the people, like I mentioned, my family, who are like my loved ones. And we don't even talk about bodybuilding, we don't talk about competing, fitness, nothing. It's just like, what's going on? We play with the dog and we just chill. And that kind of escape from the world really has helped me kind of keep my head grounded and in the place I need to be.
Well, I think it's really important because, you talk about Courtney. I've known Courtney for a very long time, and you guys are making an amazing couple. And I think that the support system is really important. When Jay was competing, when Phil's competing, and all those things that were going on with them, and just everybody that supports them. And can you touch a little bit more about what you do to try to balance out the bodybuilding lifestyle? Because bodybuilding is almost 24/7, right? It's meal to meal and all those things. Do you take breaks? Do you guys go on vacation? Do you guys do things to be able to kind of break it up a little bit to try to find balance with whether it's your girlfriend or your family, to be able to, because it's so intense with the bodybuilding preps?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely have a decent balance. And like I said, this is new now. Obviously, when you start something, you're like gung-ho, like I can't take a day off the gym, rest day. How do I take a rest day? And I think everyone gets to a point in their training career where they just can't even imagine not going to the gym for a day. And I was like that for a while, but the longer I was doing this and the more pressure that was on the gym, you can almost lose your love for it because it becomes more of a job and this expectation of what you have to be there. So for me to detach from that, I do stuff, like I said, after the Olympia every year now, I just take months off working out. Me and Courtney just hang out. We went on a few trips this year, go back to Canada, I saw my family. Just little things that can bring me back to just my safe space at home and my grounding level, I guess you could say.
So what else do you like to do? I saw some fishing trip videos. You guys were out doing some fishing or going out on the boat?
That was just boating, no fishing, sadly. Yep. But I mean, we just do random stuff. I'm not one who does a lot of crazy things. We're very normal people. Me and Courtney will sit down and watch TV, watching the Hany documentary, and that was really cool. Just fun, casual things where we can get away. When we're traveling and I'm with my parents, it's usually just hanging out and talking. We play board games. It's very casual stuff.
Driving your Nissan GTR?
I do, yeah. I know you got one too, so maybe we should race one day.
That's right. I mean, Chris is a big car guy now too, getting him a little bit more into it. So we definitely got to get out to that. We got some really good quarter-mile tracks that we're doing.
For sure, yeah. I don't know about no tracking, but I'll take you on a drag.
The biggest thing is right now is that you're also now, somewhat like me, a business owner. So now you're involved with actually ownership in your own brand. And a lot of that is setting the stage for what's happening after bodybuilding with your own brand. You want to talk a little bit about is that something that you wanted to do so that you could design your own products, or was it because you wanted to also just be able to have say in what the brand's doing and all aspects of it? You could go down that little bit of road with us.
There's a little bit of all of that. I've always been passionate on like marketing, branding, and that's what I kind of try to do with my own brand. And then being a sponsored athlete by many companies, like every company has their flaws, but there's something that there was a disconnect between like the consumers and the business and everything that I wasn't really happy of or always wanted to be a part of. And I never wanted to own a supplements business. It's a headache, as you know. There's a lot of shit that goes in behind the doors. But now that I'm in that position, it was something I wanted to set up for my long-term career. But it's also something right now where I'm really excited, where I can do more cool things for my fans and followers who like follow me or the brand or whatever. And I can focus on giving back to them, doing events for myself and stuff that people actually want to see, rather than just like pumping out fat burners that no one wants to use, that kind of stuff. So it's been really fun. And I think long term in like life overall, I like to live in the moment but still plan for the long term. And obviously bodybuilding isn't forever. So if I'm going to be doing this, promoting other people's brands, it might as well be something I'm in control of and something that I love every part of it.
It makes a big difference when you actually have say in what you're doing. And the biggest thing now is that did you get a chance to watch prejudging today?
Sadly, I didn't get to watch it, but I saw the pictures.
Yeah. So from the pictures, what are you thinking? Where's your top 4, top 5 right now?
I mean, top 4 is everyone from the Olympia minus me, really. It's Terrence, Urs, Ramon, and Brian are all there. They look crazy. I wish I could see it in person because the pictures never do it justice. Coming into this, I thought Terrence was going to win because he's the most like dense, complete physique right now, whereas guys like Urs and Ramon are still young and coming up. But I think the next guy to watch in this division is Urs. He's an awesome kid, and if anyone ever sees him walking around, please go talk to him because he's the funniest, nicest kid ever. And Urs. Ramon as well. He's still learning English, he's from Brazil, but they're both like, I come backstage and I'm like trying to be serious, like getting ready to get on the Olympia, like these are my competitors, the guy that we're going to battle with, and they're like looking at me, and they're like, Chris, I'm sorry, I gotta ask, can I get a picture of you? And I'm like, we're going backstage, man. They're like, I know, but I love you, man. Like, I appreciate everything you're doing. And it's really cool. Like, they're just all really nice guys back there. We genuinely have a lot of fun on and backstage. So I'm just grateful that I'm coming up with such an amazing group of competitors who look crazy and are going to be pushing me to the end.
Out of that crew that you just mentioned, you left out a name, Brian. And I know Brian and you have gone back and forth.
I mentioned him when I said the top 4.
Yeah.
I just mentioned the younger guys first.
But, I mean, they all have amazing physiques, but who do you see as your biggest threat going into this year's Olympia? We got a little more time. Olympia now is going back to Vegas, and it's now going to be in December. And it's going to give you a little more time to prepare and get things bigger and fuller and working on your personal physique. But who do you think is the one that's going to be pushing you the most?
To be honest, I've said before, I don't think anyone's my threat yet. I think they're all Terrence's threat. And my little joke I always tell them, and I tell everyone, is I think they're all fighting for second place, because I have no threats quite yet.
Where do you feel, when you start to win, the biggest issue that I've noticed is that now you're not only competing against the people that are next to you, but you're now going to get pictures of what you used to look like in a previous win. And now you have to go against that extra person, which is the best version of yourself that they're going to push you in. Phil did it, Jay did it, Ronnie Coleman had to go through it. All the best bodybuilders in the world have to go through that. How do you feel you're going to have to change your physique this year to try to best that, the other versions of yourself? What are you going to do physique-wise?
I mean, I'm still kind of doing the same stuff I've been doing. I've had a pretty true and tried testament that I've been doing, and it's worked so far. I'm still growing every year. I'm still getting a little bit better year by year, and like I said, I still have about 4 pounds to put on. So luckily this year we have a much longer off season. I just took a bunch of time off, started again, and now I think we have 10 months until the Olympia. So I'm going to be taking it slow and doing it properly, and with a little bit more time this year, it actually allows me to bulk up hard, and then I can have a long cut as well, so I can come into the show at 100%. But last year, the main thing I want to change over this year is by the end of my prep, like I said, I dropped a lot of weight at the end. I don't want to be pushing myself that hard. As you know, if you have to kill yourself that hard at the end of the prep, I think I was doing 2 hours of cardio and I was eating 1,500 calories and at like 240 plus pounds. That's not a lot of food.
2 hours of cardio, and what were your calories?
1,500. Yeah, and you know better than anyone. You do that for too long, you don't pull back that look on stage. You're gonna look a little flat, a little tired. It's just what happens. So I felt this year when I looked at myself on stage that I wasn't close to 100% what I could have looked like. And like you said, when you're on top, you only get compared to your last year, and I'm excited about that because I'm ready to beat what I looked like last year.
What do you think was your best year? What's the one that you really stands out the most?
The smoothest prep I've had and the best year I've had was 2020 for sure.
2020, and you feel like that was your best package?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, I was there and I was backstage with you, and I just right when you pulled up, I was like, okay, you had a tremendous improvement in 2020. Do you feel that when you're going into this year's Olympia, you're going to just try to come in a little bit, dial it in a little bit sooner so you don't have to rush it and you don't have to drop the calories so much?
That's the goal, yeah. Because I was pushing so hard and I was trying to make a weight, and the last week I think I just dropped 8 pounds one day out of nowhere. So I'm sure some of that was stress I was holding on to, a little bit of like water and stuff like that. But this year, if I can do it slower and I'm ahead earlier, I'm sure I'll have just less mental stress because I'm more confident in my look. And then if I'm ahead early, I can cruise into it a lot more smooth.
What's your typical program right now? How much cardio are you doing right now? Are you doing any cardio? And what's your weight split, training split right now for the off season?
So I'm doing 20-25 minutes of cardio a day on like an actual cycle, like outside on a bike. I love going out in the outdoors. I do that 4 or 5 times a week, mainly just for like cardiovascular health.
Is that fasted or post-workout?
I do that fasted. I just have more energy in the morning to do fasted. And then I do.
Do you take anything before you do your cardio in the mornings in the off season?
Just water now. I just wake up, drink water, and get on the bike.
Just get on the bike?
Yeah. It's the best way that works for me. And then my training split right now, I do 3 days on, 1 day off, 3 days on, 1 day off. So every 8 days, I'm taking 2 days off. And the split is mainly set up so that each day I'll train like chest and tris or like hamstrings and back. And whatever I'm training at the beginning of the workout, I like kill 100% like you would in a bro split. So I like kill my chest with a little bit of triceps, but then later on in the week I'll have another full tricep day and another half chest day. So I hit everything like 1.5 times a week.
So you don't do anything a little bit more? You're not doing like back twice a week, full back workouts, or everything is just balanced out for the week?
Right now it is, yeah.
Awesome. And then what do you, in regards to your meals, are you getting in cheat meals on a regular basis, or is it something you don't schedule, or how's your cheat meals? Because you're probably eating, 5 meals a day?
I'm eating 5 meals a day and a shake, give or take, but right now I'm not a huge fan of cheat meals. Since I moved down to Florida and we have more friends and a lot more going on, we go to a lot more dinners, but I typically just get steak and rice. I found when I'm like bulking, if I eat shitty food, like if I go to fast food one day, my digestion goes to shit. And part of my health stuff is to keep my digestion on point. It's an autoimmune thing, so gut health is very important. And I think that was like my blessing back then. Right now, where I'm just like, okay, this isn't just about getting huge and throwing in calories. It's also about the health and the quality of the food you're putting in your body. So I make sure that everything I'm eating is as clean as possible. I'm pretty much all my meals are at home, and not only that, but effectively, not only for the health side, but for the point of getting in as much food as possible consistently. If you eat like shit, your digestion's bad, the next day you're not going to be hungry. So cool, maybe you had 2,000 calories at McDonald's yesterday, but now you wake up, your stomach hurts, and you don't want to eat your eggs, or you don't want to eat your oatmeal, you don't want to eat anything. So you feel like crap. So I find if I can be as consistent as possible, it gives me the best result in the end.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. When they end up doing those cheat meals, it ends up almost being like you're out drinking the night before. It's not just what you did when you're drinking, it's the fact that you're going to dehydrate yourself and you're going to feel sick and you can't train. You can't train properly. Talking about digestion, what are you doing for your digestive health right now?
I mean, a lot of that is just understanding what foods work with your body. I think the easiest thing is that alone. You understand what you eat. If you eat something, you get bloated, you feel like shit, don't eat that anymore. There's allergen tests you can do as well, but simple things such as getting enough fiber in, taking glutamine, drinking a lot of water, spacing your food out properly, not eating shitty processed foods. It's simple stuff when you're eating healthy. It's just understanding what works best for your body, sticking to that stuff.
So basically the off season is just more of the good food that you do during the diet, just more of it.
It's the exact same food, yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate the time. Guys, you want to say thank you guys, a little round of applause for Chris taking the time out, for all of you. Very good, brother. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate you guys coming out. Like I said, it's super cool to finally have crowds back. You guys all mean a lot to me, especially all you guys out there with mustaches and mullets. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys for coming out.